I'm Will Cedric.
I'm Gabe.
And this is Inside the Box. Now, Gabe, we've had a major cock-up.
We've had a massive cock-up. It's to do with equipment badness.
Yeah, we had some crackly recording, and it was on our whole podcast, so we're redoing this for you guys.
Yeah, we are. But do you know what? We've got something really special for you instead. And actually, do you know, I think that it might be a blessing in disguise because we're going to bring you a Superfest instead.
I think it's even better.
I think it will be.
We got about an hour.
Yeah.
Of Ian Lewis of Team Razer and Warhead. And he spoke to me over Skype this morning for about an hour and 20 minutes. And it was great just to hear about his history, the history of Warhead and Razer, and what they're doing with them now and in the future, hopefully. So,
do you know what? This podcast, I think it's going to be one of my favourites. It's got some really brilliant insights into how Ian began and did all the bits and pieces and got to where he is now. So I'm really excited. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to rush us through all the business that we do at the beginning. And the first thing we're going to get past is the news, because I know you want to talk about it.
There is some great news. So that's BattleBots is coming to the UK on a multi-season deal, running alongside with the US next year, hopefully. So maybe the same day after, but around when the US airs as well.
That's going to be amazing and brilliant news for us, so we can watch it all at the similar time. This is really cool. Other news, what else is happening?
You were on TV, Gabe.
Oh, I was on television, BBC One on last Wednesday. So I was promoting the new Robot Wars show, which was amazing times, and it was great to be on the one show with my daughter, and we had a lovely time.
Oh, glad to hear it. And you met some of the House Robot people. Well, you already knew them, but you hung out with them for a bit.
We hung out with House Robots. I really, really want to say to the Coopers, hey Coopers, and hey TV Land people, Andrew, we'd love to do an Inside the Bot on the House Robots, and I'd love to do that if we really could. So keep that in mind.
We'll definitely do that. Well, if they let us.
We'll definitely. You can't decide for. We're definitely doing
we will definitely do it, whether they like it or not. It's just a matter of whether they'll be on it or not.
We'll be right inside their bot
without their consent.
oh, hang on. That's a bit rude. Anyway, what else has happened? Do you know what? The shop. We're going to cut the shop. I'm cutting the shop because I want to hear from Ian.
Cut the shop. Robot Wars is starting on Sunday. We're going to do a separate Inside the Bot episode for Robot Wars and BattleBots starting on Monday.
Oh, that's going to be amazing. And I think we're going to have an awesome guest host because I'm on holiday. Who's that?
Yeah, Will Bales is going to be with me doing it. So Will Bales of Hypershock. And we're going to have Dave Moulds is going to be on talking about his robot Carbide.
That is going to be genius. So I'm really looking forward to Robot Wars. That's going to be on Sunday. You'll hear Inside the Bot coming out on Monday, which will be the Robot Wars special.
Late Monday, say Tuesday if you're in the UK, probably.
Yeah, you're so busy. Don't be slacking. Don't be slacking.
It will come out at about midnight.
Yeah, well, that's fine. No, Tuesday. Yeah, I'll let you have Tuesday.
Okay.
I'll tell you what. Let's get straight onto the fights from BattleBots.
Let's talk about the three that didn't involve Ian Lewis.
Yeah, okay, cool.
And Warhead.
Okay. So let's do the first one.
So we had Razorback against Ghost Raptor.
Oh, yeah.
And Ghost Raptor had to be completely rebuilt before the fight.
Because it was ruined.
It was completely ruined. And you've said before, he's known for changing his weapon.
Yes.
And changing up to kind of second guess his opponent. And he wasn't really able to do that because he had to rebuild.
Exactly. So, I think he really, really wanted to use his spinner because he'd never actually got a chance to use it before. And I think probably a lot of people were saying, before it broke, didn't it, in season 1 very early on. And I think he really wanted to prove that it could work. And to be honest, I think that was his downfall. It will be interesting to hear what people think of actually adapting your robot in the pits as we go further forward, but that's for later on.
Well, we touched on it briefly, but I think we'll have some further insight from that later, as you say, from Ian.
Definitely, which will answer one of Kurt's questions as well, which is exciting.
Well, another answer to Kurt's questions, yeah. The same question, though, unfortunately, for Kurt. Oh, well, sorry, buddy. Anyway.
But if you get your question answered by the legend of Ian Lewis, then, suck it up, buddy. What's wrong with you?
Yeah.
In fact, we're getting furious with Kurt. I'm getting furious with Kurt for not even talking.
Stop it. Leave Kurt alone.
Okay.
Anyway.
So, let's do the fight.
No, Razorback had his claw grabby thing on.
Yeah.
And that was basically so he could stop the weapon.
Exactly.
And have a bit more speed.
Yes.
Which was his plan, was to box rush his opponent.
So he box rushed his opponent.
Yeah, he did that.
He sort of, but his opponent had spun up quite nicely, I thought.
He did all right, yeah.
And even whipped a chunk off him.
Well, that was the second hit. They had a few hits, and then Ghost Raptor got one nice hit, kind of hit him square on the jaw, chipped away a bit of aluminum off him. But from that point on, really, it was Razorback's fight.
Razorback had him, and he actually got him in what I consider a death roll.
Yeah, he grabbed him by the blade and flipped him over.
He flipped him over. He wound over and over and over with him. Reminded me of the Death Roll robot, which maybe they could perfect that very thing for their own robot. But
yeah, keep an eye on that one. Maybe they should have had a biting mechanism rather than that disc.
Maybe there's a secondary weapon there, or change-out weapon that they can have a bitey.
Shouldn't have attached bits on with string, but that is a different conversation.
You need to apologise.
Stop, no. So it got flipped over with Ghost Raptor. Razorback and Ghost Raptor flipped each other over, kind of like craziness.
Yes.
And then Razorback was able to self-right. Ghost Raptor wasn't, because it had sat on top of its blade like a...
you know what? At this point, I'm so excited by Ian Lewis that I'm going to scrap this fight and go straight on to the next one. So
they couldn't write. Razorback, because it could write itself.
And then it went through. That's lovely. Next fight.
You've missed out. The bot.
No, I don't care.
The bot punishment.
I don't want to get onto Ian.
The bot spanking.
No, I don't. That spanking business was very strange. From one of the commentators spanking and going to bed. That was a bit edgy. So, but this whole series was edgy. What's the next one?
Right, match 3 was Tombstone against Escape Velocity.
Oh, Tombstone against Escape Velocity.
Yeah, Escape Velocity, one of my favourite robots because it's a multi-bot, but a multi-bot that has two kind of philosophies that work with each other, and then they just use one of the bots. So I was furious because those exposed wheels on Tombstone would have been great for the little roundy bit of Escape Velocity.
Well, do you know what I thought to myself? I thought the robot with the best chance of maybe having a go at Tombstone was Escape Velocity, in that it could try going with the flipper, the bigger bot, and then the little one could come in and whip a wheel off. Because what we've already discussed before, lose one wheel and that's robot's knackered. Tombstone's ruined.
Exactly.
Those wheels are only made of rubber. Any little spinner could take chunks off that. But what do? They swapped it out and armoured up the flipper. Mental.
Foolish. So they had this full armoured flipper that has a crappy flipper on it. And then Tombstone is using some dodgy blade that he doesn't want to, because he doesn't want to use his good blade.
Yeah, he's put his old one on.
He's put his old one on.
He wants to do like that. And do you know what? I want to say this. I've just noticed the thing about Escape Velocity's flipper is that it works the wrong way round. So instead of actually flipping out, it actually flips as the ram is retracted, which is the wrong way round because you're losing a lot of power because of the space of the bar coming in. So it's a crazy thing. I'm
sure they'll have learnt a lot this year.
Yeah.
And maybe they'll change things for next year if they come back.
Exactly. So you need a one-way flipper, bungee retract. In fact, have a look at Bronco. There's a good one.
Yeah, just copy Bronco.
Don't look at Lucky.
No.
And you need, I'll tell you what, secret weapon is a buffer tank. Buffer tank. And if you're not sure what that is, then I'm sure you can give us a shout and I'll help you out with it.
Yeah, email in insidethebot@gmail.com.
What is a buffer tank? And that's how I want you to say it.
And Gabe will sort you out.
Exactly.
So the fight itself lasted 6 hits.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And who won?
Escape Velocity.
No.
Tombstone just completely knocked out his opponent.
And you know what, Ray? This time he didn't mess about. He didn't say, "Do you want another one?" He just went, "There you go." That's what everyone knew that was going to happen, and he was awesome. He's
just furious that he didn't win BattleBots, isn't he?
Who?
Ray from season 1.
Oh, do you think?
Oh yeah.
I don't. Ray to me, he doesn't look like he get. furious with anything.
I think he's in a constant state of fury.
No.
He's so furious that he can control it.
He's got what? You just got inner fury.
He's got inner fury.
Maybe he's called Ray Fury, Nick's brother.
Do you know, I think Ray was a blacksmith in a former life.
Oh, what? Do you think he was a blacksmith?
I think he was a blacksmith.
Oh, I'd like to see his leather apron.
Calm down.
Oh, sorry. I was drifting off there. Anyway,
let's keep on.
Done.
Match 4.
Go.
Son of What Are You Doing? I mean, Waiachi against Poison Arrow.
Oh, and you know what? I love the beginning of this. I wanted the son of Waiachi dude who, when they're talking, and he says,
Who are we facing? It doesn't matter.
Maybe the American me missing and lost in translation, but that came across as quite rude and sort of brash/arrogant. Now,
it clearly does matter, because if you're facing Tombstone, you want to know about it.
Exactly. And it was almost like, we can be anything. You need to,
Anyway, Poison Arrow, on the other hand, they were like, let's just turn up our engines.
Oh, yeah, what are they going to do? How are they going to meet this new threat? We're going to turn up our... Now, do you know what I'd like to say here? Is, what were you doing before?
We just hadn't even turned it on.
Are you like keeping some more motor for every single fight? So in the last one, we're going to go, what was that sound? Oh, bang, you broke the sound barrier. Yeah, because I got so furious I saved up even more throttle. I was using it before.
Yeah, just do it.
Sorry, I'm getting too excited.
Just crank up the motors all the time.
So we got Son of Waiachi fighting Poison Arrow. Poison Arrow, What has it got that's a waste of space?
A tail.
No, not the tail. I like the tail. That tail was there, I think, going, we're never going to get on. Okay, I tell you what, instead of putting eyes on a robot, we're going to put a tail on it.
It was more of a cheerleader in this fight. It kind of just sat there waving up and down, going, oh, hey.
No, it falls off really quickly, and then it little wiggles on the ground.
Yeah.
Keep on going, buddy, I'm with you all the way.
It's the cheerleader tail.
Do you know what I just thought would be amazing?
What's that?
Why not next time? Poison Arrow, you must please do this. And by the way, your air buddy is actually probably the most effective of all air buddies out so far. However, why not?
How is it effective?
No, out of all the other air buddies.
Okay.
It's the best one. It melted a bit of that of Megatento. That's all the other air buddies have crashed, so it didn't crash, did it?
I liked Basilisk's crash.
I know, but we're not doing that. We're going with my idea for Poison Arrow's tail. Make a little mini bot that fits on the back, and when it falls off, it can drive around.
Is that not the point of it?
No, of course not. It just keeps falling off.
Does that actually?
Yeah, it's not meant to fall off.
I thought it was meant to fall off.
It wasn't driving around.
I thought that was the arrow.
I'm talking about the little tail pod.
Yeah, I thought that was the arrow of Poison Arrow.
Oh, what an arrow? It's
so they launch it off.
That's not it. I don't know. We need some clarification on that.
Oh, no, you know what they should do?
What?
Have your air buddy pick up your mini bot and drop it on top.
There you go. That's perfect. Right, now, enough of that rubbish, because we've spoken way too long about it, and we're missing Ian again. So
all right, sorry, Ian.
I'm going to scrap all of that bit, and say, who won that one?
No, we're not doing that.
Yes, we are.
Right. So firstly, Poison Arrow came up and smashed up a mini-bot, which we always love to see, because they're useless.
And then they wound their drum up. No, they didn't. They did
an a little glancing blow with Son of Waiachi. No real hits there. And then a massive hit. And Son of Waiachi was just flung into the air. The air buddy was still just driving, flying around doing nothing.
What I really wanted would have been amazing for Poison Arrow to hit Waiachi into the air and then to take out their air buddy in a massive explosion. That would have been perfect. In fact, I'm going to imagine that's what happened.
That is what happened.
That is what happened. That's going to get 22 million hits on YouTube.
Several people were killed, but it was still amazing.
Oh, if you haven't watched it, watch it, everyone, because it's amazing. You might be a little bit disappointed when you see it. No, you won't be at all.
No.
It's not quite. You have to use your imagination.
You do have to use your imagination.
Your imagination. Like that. Anyway, stop it. Now.
Son of Waiachi landed, couldn't move, was counted out.
I'm not interested anymore. I want to hear from Ian.
Poison Arrow 1.
Yes. Go, Ian.
I'm joined by Ian Lewis of Team Warhead and Team Razer.
Yeah, the two. Wish if Simon was here. I think he's still in bed though. A little early.
So how does it work with captaincy of the teams?
Yeah, we tend to swap it quite a bit, really. Simon and I, we share it each year, so it's that really 50-50 share thing. I think we get a bit jealous if one of us tends to dominate too much.
Gets for the interviews.
Yeah, we've got to share it 50-50, absolutely down the middle.
So Razer obviously has been very successful in the UK, 41 wins, grand champion of Series 5, runner-up Series 6.
Yeah.
Warhead, quarter-finalist Series 5.
Wow, it's into the Sweet 16 now, isn't it?
And then, Sweet 16, Season 2, ABC Season 2, and the Best Design Award last year, and 2 amazing fights as well, especially that complete... what was the Stinger one?
Yeah, the Complete Control one. Yeah, really, really brilliant. I mean, that was such a great bit of footage. I watched that footage probably about 20 times yesterday. Just kept going through it. It was so exciting to see. It's one of those things that you really want to see happen. I think if you put enough energy into the arena, with such a powerful machine, you do get super footage. Things
Definitely.
Just happen by chance, and it's one of those crazy moments, really.
And the flame looks amazing on TV as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so when their bot caught fire, I didn't actually see it. It was quite odd. You can see at the end there that just after Simon and I celebrate, you can see me sort of, yeah, like this, and suddenly I'll go, hey, like that, and I'll look across to their machine on fire, and I realise then, hey, blimey, they're out. They actually got counted out. So the focus on Warhead is so intense and so long that you don't see anything around you. The first time we kind of experienced that really was with Nightmare back in 2002. Do you remember the Nightmare battle?
Oh, that is an amazing fight, yeah. I went back and rewatched all of your Season 5 fights. Well, all the ones that I could find, anyway.
Yeah.
And that Nightmare one. You break the blade, right? That's that one?
Yeah, he's got a terrific blade. I think he's got about 300 mile an hour on the edge of that thing. And when we were drawing against him, I thought, oh, no, we got such a fantastic machine to go against. And Jim is a good friend as well. I regard him that way. And I spent 3/4 of an hour looking at his machine in his pits. He let me sit there and just look at it. And I was puzzling around, its weak spots and things like that, and where we had to hit it. And, into the fight. I mean, we just tried to make him turn and then just came in for the shot. And I said, hit the throttle, man, to Simon. Simon gave it full beans. And, I just drove it straight into the blade. And it took his blade out, warped it, and then snapped the 2 belts. And then he was on the back foot from then point on, I think. I think we got 5 good shots on him in the end. Yeah, pretty juicy stuff.
So you've had some amazing fights with Warhead. How did it all start? Where did the design process start with Warhead?
With the Warhead, really, it was we had Razer in Robot Wars, and we love Razer, its artistry and stuff like that. In America, they were running some pretty powerful rotors. They always sort of have had that history. So the idea was for Trey and Greg. We had taken Razer to BattleBots in America a couple of times. We won a Rumble with it in 1999, Long Beach, and then we took it to Las Vegas. But what we could see really was that Razer was way too arty for the show over there, and that's not a bad thing. What it is, in America, they hit hard, and you've got to think about the maintenance and rebuild and survivability. Will it be a write-off? If you had a Bentley going round a banger track, you're a bit of a crazy guy because it's going to look the same afterwards. So really, you need the powerful rotor for America. So Simon and I, we set about with plasticine models, and we actually battled these little plasticine models, and gradually we came up with a shape. A couple of them looked like chickens with big rotors on, but gradually that scorpion shape came into form and certainly seemed the best. And Simon actually made a little kind of scale model, a metallic one, that we could rev up with a drill. We used to rev this head up to about 160 mile an hour, and then push it into things, and it, bang, you know, it reacts in exactly the same way. It was a crazy thing.
Wow. So then, did you really have to apply to BattleBots, or was it kind of a given that you were just allowed to go on there with whatever you create?
Well, we took 2 years, and we said to Trey and Greg, you know, you've sort of missed with Razer, because Razer got signed with a toy deal in the UK then for Robot Wars, and a lot of people picked up some very strong toy deals in America. We would have been very, very rich guys had we kept, you know, Razer in America. That was kind of about the time, really, that the big offer came in from that buyer to buy Razer for $500,000.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, and it was a sort of bit of a decision time, really. Do we carry on with the English stuff or what? England did then sign us Robot Wars, and I think it was much more suited to that. Razer really was in the theatre side of things. You know, you've got London, Paris, Europe. It's that kind of theatre side of things. So with Warhead, we built it specially for Trey and Greg. We said to them, we're going to build you an absolute masterpiece, you know, and really push ourselves. So we took 2 years to do it. It just took ages. And, we produced the Warhead. Such a complex machine. 3 hydraulic systems, 2 different voltage systems, you know, all the gyros. It's a crazy machine. And when you rev that head up, oh, man, the procession's ridiculous.
It comes alive. I mean, like, I don't know how you do it. You've done it twice now. You just built a robot that comes alive. You don't really think that someone's driving it until it cuts to you going, come on, Si, let's do this.
Yeah, come on, Si. I kind of said to a couple of interviewers before, you know, years back and that, and there's a real connection. Simon and I have got a very good connection as friends. We hark back to the old BMX days and riding our Mongoose bikes and stuff like that. So there's a really great friendship between Simon and I, and we've been through our tricky times and we've been through our really great times. And when the machine is in the arena, it's the same sort of thing. You really connect with it. You get that 3-way connection, and that's what I'm sort of saying. Where, you know, with the Nightmare battle, it was black and white. It was slow motion and continuous time frame. Afterwards, you woke up and were like, what just happened, you know, and you had to watch the replay to realise just the sequence of events. You can remember little bits of it, but it's so intense. You're grabbing the machine. You'll see me moving as I'm controlling the machine on a steer wheel. I'm driving, and Simon's controlling all the animation. You'll see me actually sort of moving with the machine, sort of flowing with it, and it's quite a nice sensation. You get a good machine that flows quite nicely. It's a lovely thing.
I suppose you build that up over time as well.
Yeah, I used to do it with my radio-controlled cars. I was a bit of a champ in the past. I used to build my own cars to drive a lot of the off-road stuff initially, and that was really quite slidey. To get the feel of the car, you'd have that same sort of thing going on. And then I went over to the more tighter sort of controlled, faster stuff that was the carpet racing. We used to have some great little stuff, little radio control, 4-wheel drive, you know, based on the Mardave mini stocks, actually, of the early days. Great fun.
So that's kind of where it all began for you, I guess, remote control cars?
Yeah, for me, I had control line planes with my dad. We used to go and fly those, and then radio control, and then radio control boats, then cars. Initially, in the early days, we used to have fuel cars, you know, the little nitro cars. They were so fast, noisy, and smelly. My dad used to drive them because I used to be so scared as a youngster to drive it. I used to be so happy when we just pack it away in the box. My dad would be like, "Yeah, let's have another go," and I'd be, "Oh no, let's just pack it away for the weekend, shall we now?" I used to do such a perfect job of when I would paint them, you know, but sort of scared to use it in the end. It's crazy.
So how did you find BattleBots the first time around?
Well, with Razer, back in 1999? It was a bit of a dream, really. We put a video into Trey and Greg. They were asking for videos to be sent over, so we got Razer chewing the side of Vinny's car off, hole in the side, and popped all the glass. This was an old car that he was looking to scrap anyway. But it made a great sort of fun video, and Razer was still pretty new then, so we got accepted, and they phoned us up and said, "Hey guys, you know, your plane tickets are on the way." Fantastically exciting. We got over there, had some really good battles and met some some great people. Even the original Nightmare was there, which is still its form that you see it now, really. We chewed a few things and then won the big rumble at the end. That went on for about probably 10 or 12 minutes. So Razer really was stretching the battery capacity back then, which were lead acid, of course. Lead acid batteries, of the old days. It's just mental stuff. I don't know how on earth we did it. Came back with a big nut, and it was, whoa, which way do we lean now on the Atlantic? Do we stay with England, or do we go with the big scene of America?
And now, of course, you're just globetrotters.
Yeah,
here in March, there in April.
Yeah, it's a bit like that, really. We were over in LA in what was it? It was April this year. Yeah, you're right. And LA is a busy place. It's not one of my favourite places. It's an interesting place to visit. I don't know if you've been there yourself, but it's just gigantic. It's huge, monstrous, huge place. And as a model of a big city that works, it's a crazy place. But the magic thing is, you find there's really incredibly talented people there. It absorbs a lot of very, very talented people. And the people you meet, from from ABC and BattleBots and things like that, you can see they're special. You can see they're really got something. They've really got some hyper skill that they have landed, right in the right spot. And it's quite an experience, really, to rub the shoulders with those sorts of people.
Yeah, I bet. So you had a great time on the original series before ABC, and then the comeback. Actually, can we just touch on your videos? Do you send, because your video with Van is hilarious.
Oh, yeah.
And for anyone who hasn't seen it, it is definitely worth looking at. It's on your Facebook page, I believe.
It's on our Facebook page, yeah.
Yeah, this is great. I just had a laugh at that.
It's great, isn't it? We weren't going to do a video this year. We sort of thought, let's not do a video this year because it's, let's just get on over there, get our thing done. Because we were building the machine, and we were doing some modifications to the transmission, souping it up to about 30 horsepower with 2 motors in the head. We had some problems to solve, and we were also making the big T-Rex head as well, which is to the Razer sort of construct. But then we thought, it's just too good to pass by for such a laugh, because Van had these things that he was testing, and he'd already singed his eyebrows and his clothes and things like this at his place. So we thought, right, let's try and see what we can do with this. And we had about 5 takes in the end. The clothes were catching fire.
How many T-shirts did you burn?
Yeah, it was loads. Simon, in the end, was going upstairs. The kids were like, no, not that T-shirt. And it's, no, we've got to burn it, cover it in, get some diesel on it, get some petrol on it. It's going. And finally, we got the cut. There was even one cut where the keyword you'll see in the video is trustworthy. On the word trustworthy, that's where it all sort of happens. So trustworthy, Van. And Van hit the gas. He's like, and all of a sudden, it just didn't light. And I stuttered and kind of thought, and he went, give it another go. Of course, it lit the second time, but it was out of sync. It didn't look smooth. All the clothes going on fire. We're trying to grab them off.
Yeah.
So just trying to grab them down and stamp on them. Just mad, really. So we finally got it in the end. Yeah.
Oh, I think it was worth it. Definitely.
Did you see our other one as well? The English tea one in the beginning, where we're sat in the summer house.
I didn't catch that one, no.
Yeah, there's another one. Perhaps we should put that one on. That was from the year before.
Oh, okay. And your fight with Stinger.
Yeah. Oh, dear. It was a good rattle test, that really, wasn't it? If ever you've got to shake something down, that was the shakedown it needed, wasn't it? Oh, dear. It's that time we turned up, there's 24 machines that they ran, and they were some real cream of the crop stuff, and there were some good builders there. Now the Americans have had a very strong domestic scene going on, and they've kind of perfected their machines and shaken down and perfected and leveled off and got their machines, to quite a stage.
Definitely feels that way, yeah.
Yeah, and we arrived there, and I think we were a little bit surprised by the strength of some of the guys. We'd seen Matt with Sewer Snake driving around. Sewer Snake was a sort of a Stinger early lookalike type of thing. It had that flip through kind of lifter thing where it could go through itself.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So he was very good with that, and we'd actually seen him beat Tombstone. Maybe twice actually. I know he actually beat him. So we thought, core dear, he is very good with that wedge type of robot. The interesting thing is now though, even they used the wedge on Bike Force, didn't they?
Yeah.
And we'd see that they had welded these great big slabs on the corner. So when we first were drawn against them, we're like, oh yeah, this will be lovely. Just the job, a nice little wedge on the front. We'll just drive straight onto him. But they modified their machine quite a bit, and I thought, oh no, they know what they're doing. They re-engineered it as they went on. Something that I think is a little kind of contentious, really, that issue of remanufacturing your machine once you're drawn against somebody else. Remanufacturing to here, it's because if you're coming across the Atlantic, you're going to have to take a load of stuff with you to modify and change the machine. If you've got different formats, hey, right, we've got a dinosaur head and a rotor, well, that's what you turn up with, that's what you book in, that's what you go with. Because paper, scissors, stone, isn't it?
It kind of is, yeah.
And if you, behind your back, go, oh, you draw first, and you go like that, and you go, well, I've got a stone. You're like, oh, hold on. It's not quite the game.
I do kind of agree with you there, actually. We had a question last week, actually, is do you think it's a kind of a cheap thing, or is it something that is fair? And it is kind of a blind pick in that respect. So, but
it is. It's a tricky issue. It's an intelligent thing to do. It is. It's it kind of makes sense. But when you look at a competition wise, and you say, right, well, these guys, their workshop's just down the road. These guys, their workshop is now 3,000 miles away. And even across America, you get some people who are away from workshops. So the local guys have got a big advantage. I think some guys took their machine out of the competition because it got a bit beaten up, took it to their workshop, worked on it, for the evening in the lovely surroundings and their CNC setup, and then, came back with a machine that it just looked absolutely brand new. We were, whoa, how did that happen? The olden days, the head was running on petrol, so petrol two-stroke motor, 125cc two-stroke. It had about 10 horsepower. Now, it was pretty good. It made a really nice sound and made a lot of torque as well. It was from one of those partner pavement cutter things. Yeah, so it was a pretty handy bit of kit. The only thing was, with the recoil on the head, you get such a snap, it snaps so hard, that head. Any structure that's associated with the head, not rubber mounted back further in the machine, you just get this huge recoil effect, and it was shearing off the carburettor. It was, tearing off the servos that were controlling the throttle. So this year we thought, right, let's go with the easy option, which is to big brushless.
Yeah.
10,000 watts, 15,000 watt peak for 5 seconds. The big Scorpion motor there. And Scorpion have been great. They've been really good guys. This is a very expensive motor, and they gave us a bit of a deal, sort of first off, straight off. Grant Cooper did help to broker that deal, which was really very nice of him indeed. Those linked with Contronic. The Contronic, with as Grant Cooper knows as well, very high power speed controllers. Beautiful bit of kit, and really that in the machine for the first time, one big motor, one big speed controller, driving the head. We thought it would be enough. We thought, right, that looks pretty good. That's a lot of power. Simon did have his doubts, and acceleration time 6 seconds. It wasn't quite good enough for the first year. So this year, really, we went to 2 of those motors.
Yeah.
Let's put in there. Acceleration time 160 mile an hour in 3.25 seconds. So
that'll do.
Yeah, you've got to double up on everything, but you can do it if you've got a good sponsor behind you. There is that option. So I had to redesign in CAD all of the transmission for the head, get it all done very quickly. I was a little bit sort of resistive, and Simon said, "No, come on, let's do it. We got the T-Rex head, which he was working on really hard there. We were getting Razer done, and also getting the transmission sorted this year as well.
So it all kind of just about came off then. How did you fit it all in with the weight limit?
Well, batteries, really.
Oh, okay.
Lithium cells. The lithium cells are so good these days. Go for a premium band, OptiPower. They came on board. And I've trusted them before, so you're looking at a true 50C cell, because you've got to drive that motor. That thing's going to demand 200, 300 amps. And there's two of them hard at it, at 50 volts. It's just ridiculous power. So that allows the machine to be much, much lighter. I mean, this year, Razer, when I put the lithium cells in Razer, it was running at 90 kilos.
Oh, so you've got a bit to play with there.
Yeah, it was. I 19 or 20 kilos to play with, which is extraordinary. And that's the lithium cells these days. They're just so good, and that linked to the radio systems as well. The Spectrum systems, they're so reliable, so trustworthy. You can actually trust the machine much better. And of course, your link up feels much nicer. There's nothing worse than controlling the machine and it doesn't have that feel. If it's stepping out of line and doing its own thing, you're like, whoa, hold on, I don't feel connected here. This is not good. And of course, with such powerful machines, you've got to be so careful.
And that was happening a lot in the early days, isn't it? For a lot of roboteers, really, the radio link-up wasn't that great. Yeah,
it was very, very tricky. I think a lot of people, they try to get away with the old FM systems, and I don't know if anybody trusted the old 27 AM, which was the... Do you remember everybody used to go around with their radio-controlled cars when they were kids, and it was 27? And then this guy on the CB would be, "Hey there, good buddy," and rolling past, and the car would go around in circles. It was just madness. But these days, the broadband spectrum, or whatever they call it, it's just fantastic system, and it's unheard of. It's quite good with the old boys. Sometimes I fly planes as well, and if you turn up on a slope and you've got all the pegboards still there, the old boys still have that. But you turn up with your radio, switch it on, just chuck your plane. Oh no! What's he doing? Oh my God! They've still got that reaction that you're going to be cross-channeling with them.
Oh dear. So, shall we talk about season 2?
Yeah.
Because what a season you've had so far, and I'm excited for your next fight.
Yeah.
But we'll talk about Obwalden for German, but maybe Obwalden.
It's a strange name, that, really, isn't it?
I don't know. Do you know where it comes from?
Rob said something about it, some district or some area where local to where he is, or it's either in Switzerland or in France, though. I can't remember which side it was. I was like, what is that name? That's so strange.
It's just a random one, isn't it?
That's typical Rob Knight for you, isn't it, really?
They ended up calling it Obi Overlord anyway.
Obi, yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi. Anyway, so you called it a Jack Russell versus a postman.
Yeah. I've got a Jack Russell myself, which is savage.
I think they were going for George and the Dragon, but I mean Jack Russell versus the postman, definitely.
Our Jack Russell, he's like a rescue dog, it's a classic, isn't it? You buy a lovely looking little dog, and he's like, hello, and then the postman comes along and rings that bell.
I don't know what it is about postman.
Changes, doesn't it? It gets absolutely savage and goes insane. Yeah, if he gets hold of that postman, oh my God, he would be breathing fire. It's the same.
So Warhead is modelled on your dog then now.
Yeah, just a bit.
Or is it just the dog takes on the characteristics the owner, causes it to have? Much like with your robot.
I'm stood behind it going like that, trolling him.
Get it, boy, get it.
I mean, OB, what a great machine to bring to BattleBots.
So
Rob
cool.
Knight, always admired Rob a lot. He's a great technician. He's had a great lifestyle, actually. He's become, I think, a doctor of robotics and things like this. And the guys he had with him, I can't remember the names, was it Will, somebody like that? It's really nice guys, and a French guy, great technicians as well. And you could see they had these really, like, beautiful minds. It was that kind of thing going on, where they just systematically worked through this stuff. But it only took them to a certain point, because they were there probably for the week ahead of BattleBots. You actually land in LA about a week ahead, which is, you know, really nice.
You need that time, really.
Yeah, get yourself acclimatized. I think this is really kind to the guys who come across the sea, because you're suffering a bit with the jet lag, and you've got to go over that and get your head straight. And they worked and worked and worked and worked on OB. And we, in the end, ended up helping them, and we were sort of, you know, fireproofing stuff and all this sort of stuff, because the battle had already been announced.
Yeah.
And Bob and the guys were having serious issues with some of their Adreno setups, I think. And they were actually finding they were running them on 14 volts, and in that heat, you can only run them on 9 volts. So they'd already blown up about 8 of them mysteriously. Back in the lab in, you know, Geneva, it was working great. But over there, the mysteries start to sort of cut in. So the complexity of the machine was extraordinary.
Oh, yeah. I mean, they had like double redundancies for basically everything in it anyway, right? So
it looked that way. Yeah, it's an antagonistic system, which is an interesting statement, an interesting use of the words, really. Antagonistic it's kind of the way we work, where one muscle is against another muscle on the other side, and when you see it, it's all loose. The whole thing is sat loose, like all its tendons and arms are hanging. And as he switches on, everything goes and drops into place, and it looks like Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Yeah.
You know, it looks all tight and everything's loaded up. And what they do then is they run these little kind of spooling servo motors. They're about the size of a cigar, with a little spool on the end, and they're spooling those Kevlar lines from all over the place. I mean, to imagine to be able to do it is just crazy. And Rob, he had quite a nice idea of the anatomy of a human, you know, because he was saying about all these different deltoids and septoids and all kinds of funny names he was using. So he sounded fantastic to just stand back and listen to, you know, as he was doing it.
Yeah, so the fight itself was crazy. It looked like he couldn't really get a bite on him at first. He kind of had that big shield in the way.
He's big, isn't he?
Yeah. It's kind of like he can get purchased. But I think if you were a kid sitting up in America waiting for that fight to come on before bed, you'd be happy with that one.
Yeah.
And it was last one of the night as well. Worth staying up for, I think.
We wanted to bring something to BattleBots that they've not really seen before, and it was great that Rob turned up with such a theatrical machine, that humanoid shape. We turn up with the T-Rex head, so we didn't know what Rob was going to turn up with. You know, we hadn't sort of seen it. It was a bit of a chance happening, really. For BattleBots, that was theatre. That was not your hard-hitting, crazy, sparks flying, terrible destruction type of thing. What it was a couple of, you know, technical machines really going at it and creating just visual theatre, really. You know, creating beautiful footage and you know, the massive flames from Van. He created that huge cooker. I mean, it's just phenomenal. They had to put a baffle into the roof of the mouth of the T-Rex because it fried all the electrics. He did a 2-second test. It billowed back in, and all the flames just fried the servo wires and everything were all cooked. So he had to rewire it once when he was testing the prototype.
It's like a mad scientist.
Yeah, he is. He's a bit of a crazy one. I don't know what valve he's using on there, but it really dumps a lot of fuel. When you look at it in some of the slow-mos, the billow size of it is huge.
I mean, your next fight, Complete Control, it looks like it throws a fireball.
Yeah. Van made these pincer, flamethrowers. It looked really great as they come up and over. the effect, the visual effect, which is always our sort of first thing. We want to see what it looks like visually. How's the camera going to pick this up? He was having a little bit of trouble with that system. Now I don't know if it was the heat of the surroundings, but it was a bit different. We were using a slightly different mix of gas that we could get in America. And you'll see at the beginning of the battle that he's having a little bit of trouble when we do our warm-ups. He wanted to flare them then. Now, as the battle progresses, that big hit goes in. That actually tripped the two speed controller computers. And
so that's the first hit?
Yeah, and that kind of stunned the machine a bit. Simon has to come off the throttle just as I hit. Now, as I make that first turn, Simon wasn't quite expecting it, and I hooked round, the machine hooked round real tight, and it took that shot, and he was still on the throttle. Of course, you've got all that current and voltage flow. Those motors are going like steam engines, and it tripped the controllers.
So that's why we see you kind of... it's great for the effect of it, though, because it looks like you're just dazed from your big hit, really. And the same thing happened to Complete Control as well. They were kind of dazed on the other side.
Yeah.
That was brilliant for TV. I mean, trip it every time.
It was that dream shot you want to get. And what it is, the dream shot is you want to hit the transmission of the other machine, really. If you can disable them and see that they start to get jammed and get stuck and they're a little disabled on the floor, then hey, we've just risen up a bit. We've just gone up to the next tier. We're looking like we could win this.
Did you know you were going to be able to tear into that armour as much as you did?
Not as much as we did, no. I thought it was pretty hard. It looked like a chromoly kind of sheet. Whether it was Hardox or not, I don't know. But it seemed to sort of shatter, didn't it? It had a very strange reaction.
It just surprised all of us, I think, when we were watching, just how much you were able to take off it. I mean, you don't see that these days, really, in BattleBots. Just a spinner or even a bar spinner tearing chunks off a robot, really.
It was really the Warhead has got a design flaw which actually services it as well. So you can see that the head is inclined on Warhead. It tips forward. Simon and I, like anything else, we did it for looks and for space. We wanted to tip it forward. It just looked a bit better rather than running it horizontal. The problem with a big 26 kilo, 160 mile an hour spinning head with an incline on it is you get huge precession effects where the machine tries to tip and it tries to yaw and all this kind of thing. And when you actually hit another machine, now we saw this in 2002, if the machine goes right, it tries to go forward. If the machine turns left, it tries to come backwards on itself and sit back on itself. So you can imagine with the head spinning in an anti-clockwise direction, when one of the teeth makes connection, bang, the tooth connects, the machine will head right at that moment.
Yeah. The
precession then takes it forward in that instant, and the second tooth will come round with a forward momentum to it. You see? So you actually sort of get a 1-2 effect. You don't just get a 1. What you'll see is with Warhead, if you look closely, you'll see that it has this kind of, it really digs in as it bites. And what that is, it's that precession and forward motion that's happening. So I think that's what we saw there. And certainly with that first shot, their bodywork was welded to their transmission. The chain, it had actually welded it across. It was all blue.
It's just a massive hit. And then you both kind of regroup. And then you go in for a bit more. You gnaw a bit more off Complete Control. And I love that it feels like I should use words like gnawing and biting because it's kind of alive at this point. Yeah. It's like the robot's got it wants a bit more. So you go and you gnaw a bit more off, and then you get another hit, and you kind of lose a bit of control. You're flipping around.
Yeah.
From the hit.
Yeah, and you can see me stressing there because I'm saying to Simon, steady, man.
Yeah, the disc's hitting the arena floor and stuff.
Yeah, the head is so influential over the robot. Simon and I, we used to ride some old motorbikes over the heath when we were younger, and Simon used to ride on the back on the foot pegs. I don't think he realised how much influence he used to have. And he used to push down on the foot pegs. And we had a huge crash one day. We went flying over this bank and went head over heels. I nearly broke my neck. And it's the same with the head with Warhead. He revs that head up, and you can see him grimacing. And he's got really great sort of muscle memory that he uses to control the machine. So I think sometimes he's trying to deliver as much power as possible. But what I have to do is, with our sort of yabbering kind of conversation, we used it in Razer battles as well, you've got to draw that tempo back a little bit, because that head, there's so much force and energy coming off of it. If Simon's got it at full bore, you start to see that crazy breakdance, which looks brilliant on camera, doesn't it? I mean, that's what I love in it. And it's, it's Simon's moment, really, just to kind of, I don't know, give us some eye candy, I think.
Yeah, I mean, so before the breakdance, you do get the robot steadied after your big hit. And then you take a run up, and Van somehow has created a fireball at the exact right moment.
Yeah. That's a bit of luck, isn't it?
How did you manage that?
Oh, my word.
It's like we've seen nothing from it the whole time. And then boom. Is it like someone who's left the gas oven on and it's just built up? and then he's got to like complete control's flame and it's gone up, or
what actually happened there? I didn't realise why there was such a big fire. On that side, they've got a big container. Imagine like a thermos flask.
Okay.
Full of propane, butane, whatever, and they've got a valving system on it. Now that container actually is surprisingly close to the side of the machine.
Well, they probably weren't expecting you,
to be honest. Yeah. And what happened for them was, in one of our earlier hits, I think it's the one where we first went off and breakdanced and then came back to them for that very big hit. Now, they were leaching gas at that point. There was a hell of a lot of gas building, and you couldn't see it, obviously, around the machine, but it was there, the presence of it. So as we come in for that big hit, now Simon said to me, "Come on, Ian," like this, because he knew he had the head up to full speed. He knew he was there. And all I had to do was tuck the machine around and go in for that final kill shot, really. And, Van, poof, 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 gets the gas going. Oh, my word, there it is. It's happened, and it just like blows it across, doesn't it? When you look at that funny GIF or the bit of footage there, it's like as though it passes it across. John Reed said to me, "Yeah, I'll have some flame." It just goes boom, and it's wow! What a reaction! Those flames were so high.
I sat there stunned in silence. I've never seen anything like that.
It's funny because I didn't see it at the time either, because I was focusing on what Warhead was doing.
I bet, because you went kind of off in the other way and you're upside down as well.
Yeah.
Well, they're not upside down, you're upside down, sorry. I
spoke to Simon about that yesterday, and he's not seen the full footage, but he's seen quite a bit of it. And he said that when the machine hit them so hard that you can see the axis of the head changes very rapidly. It almost flips like through a 90 degrees. The machine goes up on its edge and does this sort of tail pincer skid across the floor, which looks awesome, and it takes on like a gyroscopic lock at that point. And he said to me that he could have saved it at that point. He thought to himself, I could save it here. I could put the pincers up and allow the machine to come onto its side, and then just recover it in the usual self-righting position. Now, the extended self-righting position is to go fully inverted over onto the head. And he thought to himself, nah, let's just let it go over onto its head. Let's just see let's see if we can get it back over.
So this is the breakdancing move.
Yeah, this is the super stand on the head breakdance spin. Yeah.
Were you aiming for complete control? Or
it is possible with a lot of.
Now, this is your opportunity to say
practice.
Yes, we were aiming for it.
Yeah, it is. I mean, Simon has some sort of voodoo control over that machine. Like I say, he'd actually sat back in February and March. He said that he'd sit there with some chill out sounds on at home with the thought of that move, and he was setting up the muscle memory on the radio system.
Yeah.
So he had actually worked through that move, that he had to get the head flat, he has to get the head up to full speed, pincers in the right position, which is long side, flat, and then he levers the machine up. Now, you can actually steer it by changing the angle of the head at the front. And also, you can bring the pincers round, which will sort of make it go round in a circle.
Yeah.
But it's a bit of luck as well. You've got to have a bit of good fortune there. And you can actually see one of their little minion bots comes in and gives us a helping hand. You see that?
Yeah. Also seen the angle where it looks like you escaped the saws.
Yeah.
It's like an Indiana Jones moment.
Yeah, right between the saws as well. Oh my word! And it's that thing, isn't it? If you put enough energy into a contained space, then you'll get extraordinary things happen. And I think the biggest energy we've ever seen was some of the nuclear bomb tests. It's such incredible, massive force that you see extraordinary. You get a glimpse into something which is, extraordinary, which is visually exceptional. And a lot of the BattleBots stuff happens that way. You just see such huge energy release that, whoa, what just went on there?
Yeah, we got this fight this week, which was definitely extraordinary. And then you got the Blacksmith Minotaur that going on. Have you seen that lately?
Yeah,
or just on
yeah.
Okay.
Blacksmith, what a great machine, isn't it?
I know,
I really like that machine.
I love it. It's so cool.
His big old flame he's got going there.
We had an interview with Al, and he said during the design process, everyone said to him, "We have to have the flame in the hammer." And his response to all of them was, "You're fucking crazy.
You're insane. How are we going to do it?"
That's what he said to them. And but I think one of the guys just said to him, "Look, I'll deal with the flame system. You just get the rest working." And then that's how it came about. Really good, yeah. It looks brilliant. I mean, the way that arcs over, you get such a beautiful curve of that flame. And it's unique, isn't it? It's not done before. And just the frequency of the hits as well. Yeah. I mean, when you think of old Robot Wars, hammer bots and axe bots, they don't look like that. Yeah. Apart from John Reed. Oh well, yeah. He's pretty strong with terahertz, beta, kilohertz. Yeah, kilohertz in the old days. He won Best Driver. Do you know, a quick story there was 1999. We went over to BattleBots with Razer, and the other team to go was Kilohertz, John Reed. Now, I thought, who's going to be the other team who's going over with us? And then Trey said, we're sending John Reed and Dom is his mate. I thought, no, not those posh blokes from Oxford. They'll be right stuffy couple, they will. No, why couldn't it be Mortis or somebody like that? And we got over to the States there and chatting to Dom and John. It was such a laugh, I tell you. They got such a great sense of humour. And John arrived there, starts assembling kilohertz that he'd sawn in half to get into the heavier. You could take a bit of weight over with you. I think it was 232 kilos. So he had the machine sawn in half. And he's going to put the machine together, and he's like, I've not got the RAM for the axe. So he'd actually left that in his front room back in England. So he had an axe there that had no power to it at all. There was nothing linked to it. But he still got, I think, way up in the competition. I can't remember how far he got. I think he got into the semis or something with it, and won Best Driver as well. So good on him. I saw, in one of your fights, he's there in the crowd. Yeah, it was that in 2002. Yeah. And it's like a little my wife, cameo appearance. Yeah, you can't mistake John, can you? No, definitely not. That's when he was building Beta. That was the first time it got over to the States, and it was still in pieces. John's a great designer. He would design on CAD for about 98.7% of the time, and then leave this tiny bit on the end to build the machine. It should be perfect. It should all go together and work like a dream.
unfortunately, that's never quite the case with the virtual world. You've got to get into the real world. And John knows this sort of thing, and he had that fantastic machine beta over there. He kind of got it working, kind of got it through tech check, but it had an array of magnets which were sticking it to the floor, and the whole chassis just bent down. It was pulling about, I don't know, 500 or 600 kilo force or something onto the floor.
I wouldn't be surprised,
Yeah, it was terrific. It was a nice idea, but of course, the resistance is so huge that it just couldn't cope with it.
I think if you ever get into your head that you should use magnets in your robot, just stop there.
Yeah,
it's never going to work.
Mind you, we do, but it's we've got like a little kind of bogey, like a little puck type thing, and you can see it when the machine does its breakdance move. You can see it at the back there.
Oh, okay.
It's been a really fussy, fiddly, bloody thing to work with. It's it's not nice, and the problem is it can pick something up off the floor.
That'd be.
Yeah, you could get stuck. Now it does give us 30 kilos of downforce in that rear end of that bot, so it does assist us with the precession effects, which is good. Because when the machine, when Warhead would turn, you'd get a precession effect.
Have you always had that?
Yeah, in 2002, the best example of that is to watch the Dark Star battle. Now, Dark Star,
my mind's hazy.
Biohazard-looking type of thing.
Okay.
Polycarb sides on it, bit of a lifter.
Mm-hmm.
You'll see us breakdancing our way across the floor in the flat kind of usual position. Yeah. And that's because of the precession effects. Yeah.
Sorry, did you have the magnet then?
No, not then.
Okay.
Back in 2002, no, we added it. It was an idea that Simon has. He's taken the rip out of me a lot. He's taken the piss out of me a lot for this. I call it the puck, and I think he calls it the puck in the arse, the pain in the arse, because it is a fiddly thing. You're very right. Using magnets, it's a big neodymium magnet, sort of 50 mil square, half inch thick. And it's got a savage pull on it. I mean, it really is very effective, but to manage it, it is a difficult thing. You've got to run them so close to the floor.
Yeah.
But it's that lovely magic effect that you think, oh, wow, that solved that problem. Rather than a sucker, something like a turbocharger. John Reed experimented with turbochargers to stick the machine to the floor, because the problem he's got, when he swings that big axe or hammer, he's going to take off or he's going to backflip. So he had a turbocharger system where he could open a gate. He was pulling about 1 kilowatt even when the fan was stalled on the turbocharger, running it at some insane revs, probably like 20,000 revs or something. But he found that there was just too much energy. 1 kilowatt already before the things even got started is just too much to manage.
Yeah, it's a very ungainly robot, Peter. The way it gets those hammer blows, and then it kind of just goes everywhere.
Done itself right quick as well.
I know, it's like watching Peter Crouch play football.
Yeah. He just stands there and the ball comes across and bounces off his head, doesn't it? Yeah.
It doesn't look like it should be able to function, but it does, and it's amazing. And
he's got that great big hammer on there, and he's got a very clever Fusi system, like a double chain Fusi system. So as that hammer starts, it gears up as it goes across. And John, he draws all the energy out of that motor. He really is quite the technician, really. I was so happy for John. The machine ran so well. It won its first battle. There was a bit of a decision there. You can see John's face. If you look at watch him closely, you can see his face that he's just hoping that they've won it. Because there was a couple of good flips there, wasn't there, from the other?
But I think a bit came off lucky at one point. They put that little shock absorber on top, and he bashed that off.
A really interesting thing they did this year as well with the judging. They've almost negated wedges, and it was a bit of a controversial thing. They didn't really tell anybody that it was going to happen. And if you watch the, it's not Razorback. What's the Razor something?
Sawblaze.
Sawblaze. That's it. Now I watched that battle. I was up in the bleachers, and very quick machine. It's got a kind of a flip over type cutter.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, now they came in and they pushed the other machine around.
Yeah.
They got the blade on. They cut them up a bit. Then they had a problem with their saw cutter.
Well, the problem is their saw cutter hit. It's got a rotating drum on the other one, wasn't it? It was
right.
And I think they said that the drum damaged the saw, so that's primary weapon damage.
Ah, yeah.
And then from that point on, you're pushing them around, and they had the lion's share of the fight. I mean, for anyone, you could see that.
And we were like, oh well, they've won that then.
Yeah. And I think the thing is, he put that arm out of the way. I've heard he could have been moving it if he wanted to.
Okay.
So then he could have grabbed on, and maybe they would say, but the only problem is the disc wasn't spinning up, the saw wasn't spinning.
Yeah. Now that's a really good definition, and I don't think anybody was expecting it. And you can see at the end they're quite stunned that they judged for it, because all of that pushing, all of that wedge activity is unjudged. Really, it's almost negate. You know, it's like, well, where's your primary weapon? We're just looking at the shape of the robot moving around here, and you're pushing them. Well, and that's a really good thing. I think that they saw in the old days that you know the program just wasn't going to survive with wedges. The wedge is the mighty wedge. We used to do shows at schools where we'd take along these little build robots, and the kids never quite realised that given a pit or given some obstacles in the arena, you can actually sort of, you know, use the wedge to great effect above everything else.
I mean, you've got a lot more weight to play with your motors and things if you've got a wedge, really, haven't you? Rather than a primary weapon as well to whack a great big motor on. And
yeah, that's it. Trey and Greg, you know, they started off with La Machine. Do you remember La Machine?
I don't, unfortunately.
La Machine was like
I got scolded for Greg last week for not knowing.
You know, like a quarter pipe at a skate park.
Yeah.
It was like a pure mobile, high speed, high power mobile quarter pipe. This thing, La Machine, it had this rubber mounted bodywork on it, and it looked really strange, you know, it really did, really odd, very boxy as well at the back, but used to great effect. It just went around and scooped everything up. But it's a bit of a shame. It's a bit like somebody turning up at, you know, a banger race with a huge tank that's pyramid shaped, and it's got 28-inch thick armour. You know, driving this thing around. You go, well, yeah, it's going to win, but it's not.
It's not really the spirit of the thing.
Entertainment. Yeah, you got some bloke with a Jag there, you know, doing about 100 mile an hour down the straight, and he hits this pyramid and just takes off and lands like over in the forest somewhere.
I mean, to be fair, I think that's a bad example because I would want to go and see that.
Yeah, I would.
But yeah, I know what you mean. I think the primary weapon thing is good for BattleBots.
It is, and it's going to make the show, you know, it's going to keep it spectacular. It's going to keep the viewers coming back each week. Especially
they seem to be letting a lot more fire applicants in as well, which I think looks great on TV.
And Trey is not a big fan of the fire. He did say in the series last year, he said, I'm not a big fan of it. I know that we need it on the show because of the, you know, the spectacular visual effect of it. But he said, it concerns me the safety side of it, effects on the polycarb. And there is an exclusion zone actually in BattleBots where the last kind of 10 feet perimeter, you get a warning from the ref. He stands behind you, and you'll see in our T-Rex battle, and anybody who's running a big flame, that the ref is very close to them, and he will tell you flame off. You know, if you're facing towards the polycarb, if you're facing back in towards the arena, he'll give you a bit of fair slack. They're very fair actually, the refs over there in the States.
I wonder if he'll change his mind about the flame after the complete control grabbing.
Oh yeah, Bombshell.
Bombshell, that's the one. Yeah.
What a great bit of kit that is.
Bombshell's amazing, but then he picked it up with complete control and just completely burned it. Yeah. I don't know how. Like, it's the perfect storm. They're one of those things where you put them in the box and strange things happen.
Yeah, and they got hold of it beautifully, didn't they?
It's the perfect grab.
And he was saying, I was chatting to Bombshell just after that, because those guys were next to us in our pits. Lovely guys, great presentation with the machine, paint job, the shirts, the shield, the crane that they lift the machine in with. What a brilliant job. Apparently they can change their weapon module out. They had 4 of them.
I've seen that.
4 big bolts, 10 minutes to change out. What a great setup. I said to them, if I was going to build a machine that was more that industrial sort of leaning away from the more sort of arty organic side into the more machine look, I'd build something like this. And they were like, oh, blimey, okay, well, thanks so much, And it was, they said that their receiver, unfortunately, was 2 inches behind that front bulkhead. And it turned into a lump of gooey marshmallow, unfortunately. So they had a machine that wasn't steering too well just after that, didn't they? It was toast.
It was ruined, I think. Should we talk about the future briefly?
Yeah.
So, good luck for your fight against Minotaur. I think it should be an amazing one.
Should be an amazing one. Those guys are really something, aren't they? They've got a lot of history. That machine has been refined. They've had their driver. I don't know his name, but if you look at him, he's got that same look as the Bull.
Yeah, and they're an intense-looking team as well.
Yeah, it's good to see. I like that. I like that real intensity, because when you've got to step up to the mark, you want somebody else to step up to the mark as well, because then you know they're giving it all, and hey, you know what? I'm going to give it all as well. I'm going to step right up and I'm going to do it with you. And that's, with your best buddy Simon alongside as well, and Van there as well. It's for such an atmosphere. I think Van's a little bit more chilled, isn't he? He's got the dreads going on. He's a little bit more chilled. I did see him chewing his beard at one point in one of the GoPro shots from in the booth. Yeah.
Well, we all do that from time to time.
It is, yeah. Yeah, we got.
So you've got the Minotaur fight coming up, and then you've got Robot Wars on Sunday, and that's your group, isn't it?
Simon, really, he wasn't keen to do
that's
it.
Exciting. What was it like going back to Robot Wars?
Yeah, he had the thoughts, really, and he was saying to me in no uncertain terms that he'd done it all with Razer, that really we'd got all the trophies we ever won, and the thing was complete and done and finished. Yeah, it was a very difficult path. I kind of took Razer on by myself, and you've got to think then that also Warhead's T-Rex head is being worked on. Simon is, I've designed it in CAD, laser cut. Now Simon's working his magic with bringing the sort of organic shape to it, and the bends and curves and the sheeting it in, and Van's fitting the eyes, and there's the technical aspects of getting all that working. I'm trying to upgrade Razer with the lithium and the new radio system and the motors, the transmission. And sort of the paths are starting to diverge here.
Yeah.
The team's kind of starting to not sing off the same hymn sheet. And I actually got to the point where I was going to do it with my daughter and wife, and we'd go on there just for, good time's sake. My motivations, I had a bit of a talk with Greg, and I said, because I have to get permission from ABC and BattleBots, because they were first to sign the contract, a big 21-page contract, which you can imagine what American ones like. Alongside of that.
No.
So I contacted Legal in America, and they sort of said, well, what's your motivation? Why do you want to, go on the show? What's your thoughts? And I just said, well, I want to get machine time. I want to get floor time with the machine. I want to, we haven't been on the domestic scene in the UK, and just to do BattleBots once a year is not enough for a driver to experience, really. And they were totally cool with it. They were completely like, well, brilliant, have fun, have a ball, and hope you get some great footage and all that kind of thing. But Simon was hanging out, and he didn't get involved with the upgrades of Razer, which did upset me a bit, really, to be honest. A couple of tense conversations, but we were big enough boys to, when it came down to Warhead, we came back together and we cracked on with the work that we had to put through there. But with Razer, it was very difficult. And then I was going on with Van. Van came on board to actually come on with Razer to go up to Glasgow on the arm. And then I pretty much pleaded with Simon. I said to him, come on, for old time's sake, or whatever. I tried from every angle, digging his heels in. Simon's very good at digging the heels in, unfortunately. And if he really doesn't want to do something, he won't do it. And anyway, it got to the 11th hour. Van couldn't get off work. And I thought, oh no, I'm a bit stuck here now. And I said to Simon, look, the guys are round filming the backstory of Razer. Oh, you're coming round. It's the 11th hour, 11th second. This is it. And I think he could hear it in my voice that I was, close to sort of chucking the whole lot in.
Yeah.
Even as well. You just get those strange sorts of feelings, really. And well, he did turn up, and good on him. He jumped over that sort of threshold, and he turned up at my house. And unfortunately, he said, "This is not it. I'm still not in." And I said, right, we better go and have a big, long, heart-to-heart conversation, which we did. We went for a long walk and turned the radio mics off that were in our pocket because there was going to be some, very frank and open conversation going on.
Yeah.
We actually came to agreement that we would sell Razer after this Robot Wars. A bit of an odd sort of thing, really, for Simon to put on me, but I was in a bit of a corner with it. And I still don't quite understand the motivations of that conversation. In principle, I agreed to it. I said, okay, let's sell it. And it's something that we've discussed before, giving it to a museum or selling it to a collector or something like that. For whatever reason, it's a very, very hard decision now, because I've got quite an emotional connection with Razer.
Yeah.
It's a big achievement. It's opened a lot of doors for me. And created a lot of great friends and community from it as well. So for me, it's a very, very painful situation to be in. We go on the show, and Simon, he did see something he saw which was very powerful. And what it was the crowd that was coming into Robot Wars were coming down the side of the building. Now, we had Razer in the car, in the back of the car. And we literally could not move because the people were swamping us.
Yeah.
Trying to get in the car, getting pictures with the machine. They were very polite. It was brilliant. They were like, hey, do you mind if I get a shot? And they're cuddling the machine and grabbing it and just almost in tears, some of the people, where they, couldn't believe Razer was there. And I saw the look on Simon's face when he was stood there, and he could hardly believe what he was seeing. He's been disconnected from the machine a bit, being here a bit. I mean, he lives local, but I think what he saw there was the real, true public energy that Razer creates. That sort of legendary,
just that affection for it.
Yeah, that affection. You're right, and he did say after. He said, "Look, I don't know, I've seen something. Let's just park the whole thing of Razer. Let's just put it over there at the side and think about it some other time. What I said has been said, but let's just stick down in the corner, close the box lid for a moment, and let's get on with Warhead and get it to the States. Let's get it ready." Yeah. We were up against it, with that T-Rex head getting tested and done, really.
Well, so an interesting journey going back to Robot Wars then.
Yeah. I was excited for it. I mean, the Cooper's building some great machines, the house robots, the Cooper's.
They're so awesome. Dead Metal is my favourite. It's just
he looks really good, doesn't he? Now
he's just amazing now. Yeah.
I'll tell you something that Robot Wars. I mean, they are on a learning curve. It's their sort of comeback, and it's a new crew that's running it, and. Something that they've got to get right for next year, and I can totally understand why they did it the way they did it. They got us through in batches. So in the pits, you would see that the pits is a little empty, really. And most of the Robot Wars, what it's about, it's a festival of robotics and engineering and idea sharing, and also community. That's the word there, community. And the only time that community gets to rub the shoulders and make those connections, that matter so much I know we're quite connected these days through Facebook and, through the sort of YouTube and email and that type of thing. But it's nothing like actually standing there with true characters. Do you remember Dig from Something? Dig from Something, from the old days. The old school would remember Dig. He was such a character. He's a bit like Van, actually. Apparently, he had this massive hammer, and he used to be employed to knock down houses by hand. So he'd actually go in with this huge hammer, and he showed us it one day. It was bigger than it was like a comedy hammer, it was bigger than a sledgehammer. And he was like, yeah, one of my jobs is to knock houses down with this massive hammer. We're like, who is this guy? And he made these really grungy, like steampunk machines. And our wives, they actually beat him in one of the rounds, and he never lived it down from that, But to mix it up with those types of characters, when we went to BattleBots, you got 48, 50 teams or so, all there in one shot. The whole lot's there, and it's an incredible atmosphere. And you're there a week early as well, so you're socialising with these people, making friends, associates, community, sharing ideas, building on ideas, making sponsor connections, getting advice, and just being gracious with people as well. Big learning curve there for Robot Wars, crew really to see that and appreciate that, because that's what gives the energy to it. That's what gives it life, really.
I'm sure things will change for the next series, I'm sure.
Yeah, I hope they will. I think it's a budget thing, really. The hotel was very expensive. The hotel was really nice. It was our room was really something. It was like an apartment. And I thought to myself, I'd go with a lesser room to make that a bit cheaper, so they can have more people there at any one time.
There's plenty of space to camp out back, it looks.
Yeah. It could work, couldn't it? Yeah. There's some caravans.
A real festival.
Yeah, a proper festival with... Yeah, even do it like that. It'd be great. I'll hold it in the summer. It'd be awesome. Not too good. I think you'd be digging your way out.
Yeah, I'm not sure March camping in Scotland
Thanks very
would be
much.
that great. Yeah. Anyway, it's been great having you,
thank
Ian.
you to Scorpion.
And I'll let you get on with your life. Have you got any sponsors you'd like to mention?
You can't get any better. Andy, who runs Octopower, runs a really tight shop. They are just superb. Spectrum Radios, and C&M Mold Tools. They stuck with us all these years. C&M Mold Tools, they're a local team company to us. They cut this huge billet, which was supplied by Metalex. Metalex, another supply company. This huge 700 quid massive billet of aluminium. C&M Mold Tools, they cut it for us. It was 5 days of CNC work for free. I mean, it's about 10 or 12 grams worth of work in that head, on the Warhead there. So a big thank you goes out to those guys. And also Parvalux Motors as well. Parvalux Motors, you can't get any better. Those guys, END Motors, they supply them to us. Totally gratis, and they've backed us up ever since the early Razer days, right from the start. So big thank you to Parvalux.
That's great. Thanks very much, Ian. Thanks for coming on.
Yeah, thank you ever so much, Will.
And hopefully talk again soon. Cheers.
I'll see you soon. Cheers, see you soon.
Bye. Well, that was Ian. What a great insight into the whole story of Warhead and Razer, and just thank you very much to Ian for taking us on that journey.
That was a great journey, wasn't it? There's loads of good insights there, and it was really nice to find out a little bit, his thoughts and feelings as he did the builds, which is cool.
And also the relationship within the team. I mean, it's just the whole journey we've been on with them, and coming back to Robot Wars sounds like it really was an emotional journey for them.
Yeah, so let's hope they do really well. Let's hope we can all look forward to seeing Razer be a massive again, and
it will be so popular. I mean,
it's going to be amazing. It's my favorite. It's my favorite. One of my favorite robots. There you go. Between
that and unfortunately, Hypnodisc isn't on this version of Robot Wars, but those two are the big two, I'd say, and Chaos 2.
Definitely. So I'm so glad we've got it back.
And I'm glad we had Ian on the show because it's his big week, really. His, Simon's, Van's, and his wife and the child.
Gillian and Darcy.
Yeah, that's the one. I don't know their names.
No, you do now.
It is their big week. So, yeah, thank you to Team Razer, Team Warhead, and thank you for listening. Questions and comments and all that jazz to insidethebot@gmail.com. And I'll see you on Monday or Tuesday.
And I will see you in a week's time. So take care.
I've been Will Cedric.
I'm Gabe.
And this has been Inside the Bot.